Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, and thank you so much for tuning in to the Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide race here on Speed Gaming. On comms, I am joined by Turdsman tonight. Turdsman, how's it going?
It's going pretty good. I'm pretty excited about this race. We're having a fantastic three-way fight for second place in this last round of the Ultros League.
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool personally. Yep, three-way tie for second. Our runners are Tyrith, Nobody War, Raktulanash, and Squack McQuack. And our three runners that are competing for second are Tyrith, Raktulanash, and Squack. So definitely keep a sharp eye on those three. But Nobody War is a fierce contender, and you can't count him out either.
Oh, absolutely not. He's here to play, and he's been in a bunch of other races. It's a name that anybody who's been watching Worlds Collide for a while probably recognizes. So I'm pretty excited to see what he brings to it.
For sure. You want to talk a little bit about the race itself as far as the flags are concerned?
Sure. It is part of the Ultros League, so it is the standard Ultros League flags, which is 3 characters at the start, and they need 6 characters and 9 espers to unlock Kefka. And along the way, they will unfortunately not be finding, I believe it is rods are not going to be in shops. Super balls are, and so they're going to have to be scraping those chests for all those items that they want.
Yes, indeed. So 6 characters, 9 espers, the play to get into Final Kefka. You can unlock a skip straight to the statues by recruiting either 9 characters or finding 12 espers. So 3 additional of each. We're unsure if that's going to happen this particular seed. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. Maybe some runners will go for it, maybe not. Remains to be seen. That's part of the excitement for it too, because the skip allows anybody who might look behind to just come right back up to the top.
Yeah, that's right. That allows them to skip the first half of Kefka's Tower. It's all the weird puzzle-solving stuff where you got to switch parties and hit switches, and in addition to that, one boss that you normally have to fight in the Inferno slot if you get that Kefka Tower skip. You don't have to worry about that guy, which can be, that can be a difference of 5 to 10 minutes, depending on who's there and how tough of a time everybody else has with him.
Absolutely. And to shout out the rest of our crew here, we have the Schwantz27 and Zelfer1 both tracking tonight, so thank you both. And it looks like our race is underway, starting in 3, 2, 1. And here we go.
All right.
Maybe I'm a little ahead of the game.
It looks like you're very excited. We're both very excited for this to happen.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Obviously, we're assuming things. I mean, in my head, I'm playing through the whole race right now already, so probably wouldn't be a good idea to commentate on that, though.
Probably not.
Because nobody else can see it. So in the meantime, I'd like to quick thank to SpeedGaming for hosting this. This is always very exciting to have a larger crew watching what I personally find to be a very fun game.
Oh yeah, 100%. I absolutely love Worlds Collide, and I preach the gospel to whoever will listen.
Okay, there we go. Now we got it. So it looks like we got Sabin, Celeste, and Locke right out of the gate. That's a lot of checks that they have access to right from the beginning.
Yep, fairly open seed, so it'll definitely be interesting to see how our racers will tackle it.
Raktulanash is the only one deviating right now. Looks like he's going to Ruined Narsh first, possibly to get that quick lock check, and then maybe even to take a look at the Cursed Shield, see if that's actually worth doing. Would you like to explain to everyone the changes that they made to the Cursed Shield in this?
Absolutely. So in the vanilla game, you had to fight a horrible 256 battles to change the Curse Shield into the Paladin Shield, which is the best shield in the game. We're a little more forgiving here at Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide Land. You only need to fight anywhere between 3 and 14, and in a moment we'll see exactly which it is, but definitely more palatable than 256.
Absolutely. And I think a majority of people tend to not like to see that second digit show up when they go to get their Curse Shield, but depending on how you want the opening of the game to go, it could be not a big deal for you to run into 14 fights. But in general, people usually put it in their back pocket and stop thinking about it if it's any more than 10.
Yeah, personally, I'm a little bit more greedy. I like to see, 7, 3, but that one doesn't happen so often.
I'm a huge sucker for a Paladin Shield, so if I can figure out a way to get that, I'll do it.
Very good loot in World of Balance, South Figaro. Looks like there was a Thunder Shield and an Atma weapon in the boxes outside.
And it looks like they picked up an Ice Shield somewhere, too. Phoenix showing up at the lock check. That's not a bad Esper to get at the start. A fun trick to the lock check that I actually didn't know until more recently is the other item that you have the option to get. I couldn't quite tell if that was a 5. I think it was a 5 because there's not 15.
It was a 5, that's
awesome.
correct.
Fantastic. Anyway, I got distracted by a Curse Shield. The other item that you would get in the lock check actually does not just disappear. You can get it behind the Terra check in the World of Balance Narsh if you have her in your party.
Absolutely correct. And sometimes you have a heartbreaking choice to make. Do I pick up that Esper or do I pick up that Illumina?
Fortunately, you don't have to make that decision if you've got an extra couple of minutes on your hands.
Fair enough.
Well, and a Terra, I suppose.
And a Terra. The Terra's the important part.
All right, looks like everybody's starting to finish up their South Figaro checks. Raktuanash going through World of Ruin Albrook.
Yep, nobody warns Quack McQuack picking up Raiden as the Celeste Figaro prisoner check.
Haven't seen the stat bonuses or spells attached to those Espers just yet, but both of those actual summons are not really that bad on their own, so decent pickup. Also, Raktuanash finding a Minerva in a pot.
That's a great find, too. Minerva likes maybe the best in-game armor. It nullifies fire, ice, and lightning damage, in addition to providing a healthy boost of stats.
It's the big 3. It's very, very nice to be able to resist those for lots of reasons. My favorite reason is it gives you 1/4 of the way to getting access to Merton strats.
Absolutely, and we saw the elemental shield earlier. All 3 are able to block some aspect of Merton's damage in some way. So possible that we'll get to see Merton coming out this seed. Very exciting.
If they have it, it'd be a good idea.
Quack McQuack checking the shop on the airship. Not a very common play, but I'm starting to like it more and more just because it's really quick, it's right there, and who knows, maybe they're Super Balls.
Yeah, exactly, I was just going to say, and there they are!
And there they are, see?
It was the right thing to do. It can be a good idea to slide in there if you need a heal as well. There's the guy on the other side that will bring your party back up to full, and it can be kind of complicated to figure out a good time to slide that into a seed.
Personally, I like to do it if I'm starting with Gal and trying to look for dried meat for one of his checks.
Nobody wore.
Raktuanash. Oh, sorry.
Oh, after you.
Raktuanash just in the collapsing house. Mostly a free check. I didn't see who was holding up the house.
It was an imp, so it'll be either an item or an Esper. With the way that checks work in this game, some of them you can see ahead of time what you are getting into. based on the NPC sprite that happens to be involved with that check. In this case, it's an imp, so it is not going to be a character. If it was going to be a character, you would have seen, well, that character holding up the house, Setzer, Realm, what have you.
See what we get from the imp here in just a moment. It looks like nobody wore, just grinding in the South Figaro basement.
You found a couple boggies down there, not the best for experience, but at the very least, you know you'll be able to get rid of them.
Saban has rage too. That's a very interesting one, but I didn't see his rages.
He has one with Storm. Storm isn't that bad of a ability to have. It's got a decent battle power attached to it, but it isn't one of the big ones. There's a tier list available that I've been studying for weeks, and I still don't quite have down. But amongst them, some good sources of Landslide, which is a flare equivalent attack. A couple things with Blowfish, which do your flat 1,000 damage. It's very handy early on.
It is the Black Dragon Rage, which has Storm attached to it, and that's something I didn't know. Ooh, and it looks like Merton is attached to the Raiden Esper, so...
So yeah, they could do that right now if they wanted. They've only got 3 characters, and they have more than enough resistances for it, so if they wanted to attach a very powerful endgame strat to themselves at minute 7, they're more than welcome to do that.
Absolutely. Looks like Nobody War is taking Locke's South Figaro cave check.
That's another spot where you can get a recovery spring to kind of juice up what you're doing, maybe save a couple minutes.
Yeah, if you have to grind, that is not a terrible spot to do it.
Aegis Shield was the other lock check item. I missed that last time, so maybe not. If you're going by there anyway, you might as well grab it, but not exactly something to really focus your routing after.
Nobody more running into Narapa here. Narapa, normally you find her at the end of the floating continent, but very, very easy boss. Not a whole lot of damage to speak of.
Yeah, not hurting you too hard. Somewhat low HP, and really the only thing that it does is waste your time.
Exactly. But Nobody War getting through, no problem, and finding a Strago.
The old man is sitting in a cave. So it looks like Raktuanash is picking up the Celis check. Squack McQuack just finished off Dark Narsh there, and Tyrith heading into the Imperial camp.
Yes, indeed. All of our runners taking different routes. This is something that I like to see, personally.
Especially in the beginning, and when they have so many checks available to them, it's nice to get that insider info into what they're going to have available to them if they make certain decisions later.
We'll see who is at the Imperial camp after they get done fighting these giant mantis monsters.
The Imperial camp is a pretty good check to pick early on if you want to get those encounters in. If you need a couple extra levels, or getting messed up a little bit by those guys. They're hitting pretty hard.
Yeah, it can be a little dangerous. Still, should be able to get through, no problem.
I believe the reason that they're hitting kind of hard is that scaling in this particular flag set is based on espers and characters collected. So if you, for example, in Tyrith's case, do not get any levels attached to you after collecting a couple of checks, you might end up running into a spicier situation here by running into an enemy that has an attack that has a high battle power or some other type of sneaky way of doing a lot of damage to you.
Yeah, and something that was brought up in chat, the Mantodea, the rage for that is shrapnel, which is basically non-elemental damage that is at the Bolt 3 equivalent level, so very high magic power. So pretty phenomenal find there.
That is true. That actually was a pretty good find for him. Gave him a lot of extra power to attach to his Sabin there.
And never mind. It looks like the other mantises are shrapnel. That particular one is not. Looks like that one is Wind Slash.
I mix that up all the time.
Yeah, I do too. No
It's
worries.
the bad mantis.
Nobody wore checking out the Phoenix Cave. That one's an interesting play to me, I think. It's fairly lengthy. But it is fairly densely packed with treasures, and he found an Aegis shield there, which is a pretty great shield, so...
It does have a dragon in the back, too. You do have to split your party up, so you might not be able to tackle the dragon with your full retinue, but if you want that experience early on, and you have, for example, super balls that were purchasable from shops, you can use those to take down a dragon early and get yourself a real nice bump.
Absolutely, and we'll see if Squack McQuack does that. I do believe that he is the only one to have found the Super Ball so far. Tyreth coming up on his last Imperial Camp fight here, so we'll see what the reward is immediately afterwards.
And Nobody War opting to collect all of the treasure he can get in the Phoenix Cave, which is a pretty good reason to do it early if you haven't found anything that you like or you still have a hole in your defense or offense that you want to fill in. This can be a good way to collect a bunch of chests on top of getting a check.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, it looks like Tyreth found a force shield for his efforts at the Imperial Camp. So that's what we call a dead check. That's just something that doesn't reward progression. So not a character, not an item. Or not a character, not an Esper, excuse me.
It can be nice to find an Illumina or even a Ragnarok when you're doing that, but typically it's a lot nicer to find that Esper you've been looking for, or even an extra character to put in your back pocket.
Yeah, Tyreth opted to go for the monster in a box there, finding Gigantos, which is normally pretty good. He provides, I believe it is the most experience per level after scaling. The downside is that he is very, very dangerous with his melee attacks and throat jab. So Tyreth is stopping to nope out of there, pop a smoke bomb.
Yeah, if you don't have Phantom available, he can be a real jerk.
Yes, indeed. Oh, and it looks like Nobody War is actually gonna take a peek at that dragon there.
Ooh, I didn't see if it was the... I think... Oh, it's the Phoenix has a magic power +2 on it. That is a very, very nice Esper to have early on.
Yes, indeed. So it looks like he gave that to Strago. Strago will be juiced up after gaining a few levels here.
Tyreth taking a jump off of a cliff here, doing a little base jumping. Looks like Strago has tools. I did not notice that earlier. Maybe not the best move for him to have. Tools, unfortunately, only has 2 attacks in it that utilize magic power. But if he's going to get a bunch of decent spells, we know Merton's out there, then magic power on him. He already has very high magic power to begin with. Still could be pretty powerful.
Yes, indeed. Tyreth wrapping up the leader on the waterfall. Leader, one of those very, very easy bosses.
Always happy to see him. I
Yes,
love the
indeed.
leader.
You love the leader.
Alexander at the end of the Barren Falls. Looks like we're going to get to see what he's got on him right away. Stop. Was that mute I saw on there too?
I believe so. in addition to Pearl and Strength +1 bonus, so not a bad one to see.
Not too bad. Cure also, which is the most important spell in the game.
100%. Nobody War should be wrapping up this dragon here pretty shortly. That GP Rain making pretty quick worker of him.
Turns out it has a lot of HP. Now that I'm looking at the tracker, Nobody War does have 2 Espers and 4 characters, so this Storm Dragon is level 12, I believe. It gets a ×2 scaling for this flag set. Looks like Squack is headed to Thamasa. He might be doing a burning house check. We might be able to see that fun mansion.
One of the places that I personally hate to go. It's just you can in theory dodge the ads or the monsters in there, but that is easier said than done. And did I see an experience egg here in the relic shop though?
Oh, you sure did. I did too, and I almost choked on some water after I saw it, in fact.
Experience egg is one of the best relics in the game, doubling the experience earned, and when it comes to damage calculations, levels are not everything, but they're pretty darn close.
They tend to be the most valuable number in a lot of those algorithms. Obviously, getting a bunch of magic power on top of it is ideal, but having a high level, even with only okay stats, can still get you doing a ton of damage, even if you don't have all of your offense pieces quite in place yet.
Yep, so Nobody War taking down the dragon, finding an offering, which in conjunction with that Atma weapon, there's an in-game build for one character right there. I didn't see what the reward was at the end of the Phoenix Cave, though, unfortunately.
Oh shoot, I missed that too. Let me take a look at the tracker.
Nobody War heading to Ebbett's Rock, one of the more random checks in the game.
Yeah, this is one that it's based partially on your memorization of the way that the layouts of each individual piece of cave goes, but unfortunately you are just relying on the teleporter not taking you to the same wrong place over and over again.
Yeah, and it does that to people quite a bit, unfortunately, but that's the nature of being random, I suppose. So the goal here is to find 22 pieces of coral. And once you have those 22 pieces of coral, you go and you hopefully find the hungry chest. You feed the chest the coral, and he moves out of your way, and you can go fight the boss at the hide-on spot. Quack the Quack did opt to go into the burning house with that EXP egg. Fighting these random encounters all of a sudden doesn't seem so bad anymore.
And running into enemies that don't have a bunch of HP when they get scaled up either, so it allows him to just kind of cleave right through them with a bunch of money.
Nobody War making it through Ebbett's Rock. That's pretty quick. And finding the Doom Spaghetti.
So it looks like he's got some pretty decent levels on him. He's got enough HP so that he won't just immediately get devoured by their grab attack. Thankfully, that can be the unfortunate consequence of finding tentacles early on, is if you're still at level 3, their seize attack that has them reach out and grab a character will always drain them by the same or similar amounts. It's 64 on that one. It's usually between 40 and 70 HP.
Very heads-up play by Nobody War, realizing that the bottom left tentacle is vulnerable to instant death, so hitting him with that air anchor.
I believe the other 3 are vulnerable to petrify, if I'm not mistaken.
Ooh, that one I'm not 100% sure of.
Tyreth finding the master pug in the collapsing house.
Yep, looks like he just opted to nope out of there too.
Unfortunately, the Gradius that it drops is not really a great item. It's decent, but it's not what you're hoping to have for the end of the game.
Yeah, not at all. Normally, if I get it, I just sell it. So that's basically the only thing that it's good for.
Rak'Tulanash climbing up Mount Colts. And take a look at another one of Sabin's checks there. A bit of a walk, but again, has a couple chests along the way that you can use to get a fun consumable. And Doom Gaze at the top. That was when you pray that you don't have levels of multiple of 5.
Yep. Yeah, Doom Gaze there, Guardian in the burning house. Nobody wore finding Cyan at the end of Ebbett's Rock.
Cyan is... Oh, I missed what he had as a skill. But having him in your party does give you access to a couple of decent checks. The Doma Castle in the World of Balance, which is just a walk on in and fight a boss, which is very, very nice. And again, also the Mount Zozo, that's the one. I forget that one all the time, which is, again, another walk, but it's a free check with a dragon in there, and a nice handful of chests along the way.
Looks like Cyan is a jumper.
He tends to have decent vigor, so that might not be that bad, provided he can equip a spear.
One of the better abilities that he can have, for sure. What you don't want to see is a Cyan with X Magic, for example.
Rak'Tulanash taking down Doomgaze. Unfortunately, Sabin did not make it. But it looks like Celeste was wearing the Curse Shield, so... Force Armor, that's... not the worst one. I kind of like seeing Force Armor because it gives you some resistances. You're not no immunities to elements, but you can pop it on in a pinch, and at the very least take a little bit less damage from some spells.
Yeah, probably not what he was wanting to see there, though, unfortunately.
Lots of money to buy experience eggs, though.
That's fair. Speaking of experience eggs, Quack McQuack taking down the Guardian.
Tyreth, still looking for his 4th character, heads into the Opera House as Quack McQuack finds Realm in the Burning House.
Realm's a great character, normally has a ton of magic power.
And could you explain to everybody really quick why magic is so important in this game about magic?
Oh, of course. So, magic power is it's great because like a lot of the other damaging algorithms, every spell that you cast scales along with it. So the higher the number is, the more damage the spell does, and that includes healing. It's just really nice, especially because, like, say your Fire 3 spell, for example, it's already going to do pretty great damage, but magic power just scales it up to incredible degrees.
In addition to that, it ends up being a little bit more valuable than a point of vigor, just because of how the algorithm ends up. I believe it like doubles your vigor in the middle of the equation or something to kind of make it a little bit less effective for a physical attack than a point of magic power is for a magic attack.
That sounds right.
A bunch of moves that you would not necessarily expect to be magic are, for example, almost all of Sabin's blitzes.
Yeah, I do believe that Pummel is the only one that uses vigor in its damage calculation.
Suplex as well.
Suplex, that's the other one, yep. How could I forget Suplex?
Tyreth doing a pretty decent job dodging those rats up in the rafters.
I was like, he just dispelled the curse on his shield, and just in time for whoever's at the Ultra spot.
right, excited to see who the boss here is for the Opera House.
So I did just want to point out that between the two elemental shields, the Paladin shield and the Minerva, Merton's strats are online.
So other than the one with the Minerva, I guess only the Paladin shield is going to actually absorb any of that stuff. Ooh, Doom. Busting out the big guns for the music here. Oh, and it looks like Sabin has Cure 3. Pick that up from an Esper. I missed which one had that, but that's another fantastic spell to have.
Absolutely. So many seeds where you don't have any characters with healing abilities, and it's just a slog to get through. So seeing Cure 3, it's a ton of safety there.
Let you take a breath. Shadow
Absolutely.
at the Esper Mountain, one of Realm's checks there.
Shadow, great to see. Comes with a free dog.
And number 024 is the boss, which is another one that you see him and you're just like, oh, okay, good. All right, this isn't gonna be that bad. Okay.
It isn't Magimaster. I think all of our runners are hoping to avoid him.
We of course are not. We want to see him in every boss slot.
Yes. Yes, indeed. On the other hand, with the Atma weapon, with the offering, not too bad to take down.
Well, that's true, actually. They do have a pretty GP reign as well, so they have a decent number of attacks that cut right through defense.
Yep. Looks like Raktul and Ash finding number 128. I believe that this is the boss at the Shiva and Ifrit spot. So French vanilla.
Pretty close. Close enough. Tyrith chipping away at Doom up there. Still a problem, even though you do have everything that you need to finally fight him. But his force field move can trick things up a bit. It looks like he's not using Merton anymore, so it's possible that he negated that element.
I didn't see what force field negated this time.
Looks like the second one was ice. I'm not sure what the first one was.
So Merton deals fire and wind damage, so if it's one of those elements. But looks like Tyrith's taking him down, no problem.
Get to see. Comes with a free sky render. And let's see what else he gets for his troubles. Raktul and Ash getting a carbuncle. And Tyrith getting a force shield. I think that... How many of those have we found so far?
I believe that's number 2. Unless they found some in a chest somewhere. Quack looks like he's doing Mog's check.
Yeah, Squack up to 7 characters already, so he might he's within spitting distance of that tower skip that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, we'll see what he sees up here.
I believe the time that it saves in perfect circumstances is roughly 5 to 7 minutes, depending on what the boss is. But it seems to me, at least in practice, it tends to be a little bit more than that. Umaro at the top of the mountain.
Okay, so that brings him up to 8 characters. And it's worth noting that he still needs to find at least 5 more Espers in order to unlock Final Kefka himself.
And that was brought up in the Discord recently, which I strongly recommend everyone join. It's a fantastic community. They're very helpful people. That the Kefka Tower skip does not unlock Kefka himself. if you get the 9 characters, you still need to get the 9 espers to be able to actually fight the last boss. It only skips you up to the 3 switches immediately before the boss rush at the end of the game.
Quack opting to take the Kefka and Narsh battle while he's up here. This is one of those checks that anyone, regardless of party, can take a peek at.
And it lets you see what you're getting ahead of time. The NPC that is standing up there will let you know whether or not it's going to be a character or an esper/item. So Squack needing a lot of espers is obviously going to go ahead and take this risk.
We'll see if he gets to skip. He does.
Very
no problem.
nice.
Oh, but finding Atma at the end of it. The toilet Atma.
He loves going to the bathroom.
Raktul and Ash starting his minecart ride out of the Magitech facility. Finding a katana soul.
Oh, that's as a regular fight?
Yes,
I don't think
indeed.
I've seen that before. Just swimming in offerings at the end of this minecart ride.
It looks like he opted to just run away from that one. And the evil Oscars.
Real spicy monsters here at the end of this, at the end of the Magitech factory.
Nobody were having a rough time with this Guardian.
Guardian is another one of those bosses that has higher defenses than you might be assuming once you get to them. So having GP Rain and the Atma weapon, those sorts of defense-ignoring attacks can be pretty useful.
He's high defense, tons of HP.
He's a toughie. Tyrith making the Mount Colts climb.
And nobody were taking down Guardian. Well fought.
And Squack McQuack defeats Atma. Gonna see what he gets for his troubles. Hopefully he'll get that Esper he's looking for.
Baba at the end of the minecarts for Raktul and Ash.
The demon with the body of a trucker.
All arms, no legs.
I mean, he punches you, and then you don't like it.
No. He hurts a little bit.
Solar plexus. Dead check at Kefka at Narsh. That is unfortunate.
Yeah,
not
definitely not what you want to see there.
No, not a. It's a check that has a very strange level of popularity. Some people swear by it. Some people can't stand it. But it does take a lot of time. So when you get to the end of it and you find just an item, then unfortunate.
Yeah, Kefka Narch is one of those checks that I like to pair with something else, either Terra's Welk check or Mog's check up there as well. So, not the worst thing in the world to get a dead check there, but again, at this point, you're looking for espers.
Yeah, he's probably thinking that he's going to have to really try and be judicious about what he's going to take. That last character would bring him up to 9, but if he really wants to race for those espers, he might opt out of some other peekable checks.
While our racers are going through some not terribly exciting stuff at the moment, just want to plug our Discord once again. And if you want to start rolling seeds of your own, that's very, very easy to do. You can head on over to ff6wc.com. A link to the Discord is there, in addition to in the Discord chat, or in the Twitch chat here. It's also got a link to a wiki, which has all kinds of super helpful guides. So if you're brand new, you're just starting, maybe you know a little bit about the vanilla game, but you really just want to get your knowledge increased, that's a great way to get started.
It is a very, very helpful wiki. I use it all the time.
Bergman was just talking about the rages a little while ago. 100% agreed. I almost never remember what rages do what. And there's a handy Google Sheets document that tells you exactly which one does what.
I bring that up a lot and just kind of have it on a second monitor to glance over it to see, like, oh, that's a name. Persian. Okay, that's on the list. Let's go.
Quack checking Imperial Camp. Once again, going to be disappointed with what he finds here.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. We have the information that it's a dead check back there, but he did opt to take the experience from Gigantos, the big guy in the chest.
Yeah.
So got
already fit in there.
That's It's a contortionist. It was regular. Oh, go ahead.
Nope, go ahead.
It was regular enemies, but Squack McQuack using Meteo against some mobs and saw it do about 5,000 damage. That is pretty nice damage coming out of him already.
Raccoon and Ash taking down Fumbaba. Gave him a little bit of a hard time, but he's nice, big, and beefy, so that's to be expected.
Still have one more boss at the end of this before he can get out with his prize, which we're going to be able to see here in a moment. It is Go-Go. And Atma weapon in the sky. Oof.
Ugh, yeah, a little bit rough. That is a 5th character, and Go-Go's check is relatively quick, although there's some setup involved.
Another check that is unfortunately very heavily affected by random numbers. If those little goblins hanging out on the bridge don't want to do what you want them to do, then you could be standing around for upwards of 5-10 minutes up there.
Oh yeah, I've gotten knocked off by those guys more times than I care to count.
They're very, very rude.
Nobody War finding his mod over there at the gal's daddy's house. Quack picking up his force shield. Probably cursing and shaking his fist as we speak.
He might be swearing right now. Oh, something I missed earlier. Odin was the Esper in the middle of the Magitech factory. Another source of instant death that could be handy on a couple bosses.
Yeah, for sure. We definitely want to see some kind of instant death for the Kefka tiers, and we'll talk more about that as our racers get closer to getting into the tower.
Another fun use for instant death can be on some undead bosses, since the no undead flag is turned on for the Ultros League. Certain bosses don't have an immunity to instant death, they're just undead, so it wouldn't matter if they have an immunity to instant death, which means that you can, if you have Odin or Scimitar or even X-Zone, you can just go ahead and chop the Phantom Train clean in half.
Phantom Train, the second half of the Senor Behemoth.
What's cooler, suplexing a train or chopping it in half?
I gotta say suplexing.
Yeah, it's a tough one for me. I don't know.
That's... I don't know. Maybe I'm just poisoned, but the suplexing is... It's classic, you know?
It's a strong meme. I guess, yeah, chat pointing out, you can just do both. That's fine. That's the better answer.
100%, yeah. Tyrith on his mind cards, this time opting to fight the Katana Soul.
Another enemy that is vulnerable to instant death that you might not expect.
One of the few places where Sketch is actually useful.
sketch, and any type of form of confuse will also get him to just hit himself with a skull.
Okay, so Squack opting to go for Umaro's check.
It's not a bad idea since he saw earlier in Narsh that it was an empty. Nobody came out of his little Umaro hole, and that way you know that it's not a character back there. It might be an item, unfortunately, but given how many dead checks he's found so far, it's looking less and less likely.
Worth noting that even if it is an item, you can kind of see that's kind of a peekable check. You can go and talk to the statue, and if it's an item, it'll say, remove the item from the eye of the carving. If it's an Esper, you remove the Magicite from the eye. And if it's a character, you just touch the eye.
Raktuanash showing us that the Zen Thief is selling a Palador Esper for not a bad amount of money, 20 grand.
That's not too bad. Personally, I always hope for those discount double checks, get them to 4 digits or less. A third dead check in a row.
And it's another force shield. Oh my god.
Shield. Oh no.
Poor guy. Raktuanash making his way through the Phoenix Cave a little bit later than everybody else, but still gonna go there and get that.
Back finding some pugs.
That's vanilla pugs too. It looks like.
Yes, it is. Pugs are pretty neat. Each one of them has a 1 in 8 chance of dropping a Minerva. I occasionally fight them just to see if I get one. I never do.
I believe steel works as well. Is that the case, or am I crazy?
I do believe you're correct. I think steel works.
I don't believe anybody has steel or capture right now, but... Oh, capture does not, according to the chat. That is interesting.
Oh, I didn't know that. See, I knew I would learn something today.
Ah, chat explaining the whole thing. Capture will do fight first, and the pugs will just evade it. That's unfortunate.
And Squack sees an item, a 4th dead check in a row.
Wow. It's extremely unfortunate because he's playing very well. He has found a lot of checks, and it's just the numbers just are not working out for him, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's always a shame when that happens. But it looks like he's going to be following in Raktuanash's footsteps, heading into the Phoenix Cave.
Looks like Nobody War is heading into Cyan's Dream. Not a bad multi-check. One that I wrote off for a very long time, but it has... you get 3 checks out of it, one of which I think is guaranteed to be an Esper or an item, or Esper or a character. And you only have to fight 2 bosses for it, which is very nice.
Yes, indeed. And it's worth noting that Nobody War is in the same position as Quack McQuack, having both 4 Espers and 8 characters. Finding Dataluma.
While the runners are all kind of collecting different checks that we've seen already, I think I'd like to take a quick opportunity to thank all of the staff behind the scenes that are working on this. Since oh shoot, the names Zelfer and the Schwantz 27 both working the tracker in the back.
Yeah, thank you both so much. Really appreciate it. And big shout-outs to all of our runners as well. All of them playing very, very well. Definitely deserving of a follow.
Saw somebody in the chat use the term Daddy Luma, which I don't appreciate.
I do, 100%.
All right, Tyreth picking up his Go-Go. That puts him at 5 characters and 7 espers.
A question in chat, who would currently be winning? And the answer is, it's complicated.
I suppose Rak'Tulanash is... He's got the most guaranteed stuff right now, but as we mentioned earlier, if Nobody War or Squack McQuack manages to get the Kefka Tower skip at the end of all this, then they might be able to pull ahead near the end and end up making it a much, much tighter race.
Yeah, so very difficult to say. And in addition to that, Final Kefka and the tiers before him are very dangerous. So, if any of our racers wipe, for example, they have to start all over. Major swing right there.
Absolutely, and you can get surprised too. The climb all the way up to Kefka, starting with that first tier doing a bunch of physical damage, second tier having just a ton of things it can do to you all at once. You can find the whole thing kind of getting away from you pretty quick.
So nobody we're seeing an Imperial soldier and not a character, so this will be... one of these checks will be an Esper.
Is good news.
But there are 2 of them, basically back-to-back, and both of them could be Espers, which would put him just 1 character away from Go mode.
And Rak'Tulanash finding a Genji glove in the excuse me. I apologize. The train deciding to quit out of there.
Reward for the train is in the caboose, and if you don't like it, you just leave.
Yep. You didn't buy a ticket, you don't gotta stay.
Irith deciding to get eaten by his own eater and going to see who's at Go-Go spot. Nobody War finding the Dream Stooges at the Rexol spot, so another French vanilla boss.
Everything is just shunted off to the right by 1 space, basically.
Yeah.
Ooh, Tyreth running into the Goblin.
Taking a knock. 1 isn't the end of the world. You get a free crack at these chests down here, so a Nutkin suit and a Barrage vest, not the worst things to see.
Mirage vest can be a fun clutch, especially in the Kefka tiers that we discussed earlier. If you pop that on in the beginning, you'll have image at the start of a fight, which could allow you to get away with not getting hit from the first tier's physical attacks.
Like the second time around, Tyrus made it through no problem. Taking the safety save before this very dangerous ceiling.
Someone should probably do something about this. Squack making his way through the Magitech factory. If I'm not mistaken, there were 2 Espers and a character in there, so that is actually going to be a pretty good set of resources for him, bringing him up to 9 characters and bringing him up within 3 Espers of finally getting Go mode.
Yeah, so he'll definitely be happy after this. 3 Stooges being a little bit dicey for Nobody War. When you fight them this late, they can really do some nasty stuff.
Tyreth opting to use Go-Go in his party right now, which is interesting. The way that Go-Go works, of course, is Go-Go gets access to all of the commands that are available in your current party, other than some of the weirdos like Health or Shock. I believe Magitech is also one that he does not get access to. But that can be a really good way to beef up a party if you found, say, 2 characters with good skills, and the other 2, like, for example, Locke right now has control, although I think he's swinging the Atma weapon around in most of our runners right now.
That seems to be the case. Looks like Tyrith found an Esper there, although I didn't see which Esper it was.
I believe everybody has gone into the Phoenix Cave now that Tyrith is going through there, so that's everyone getting access to that Esper.
So, and Nobody War did find 2 Espers at the end of Cyan's dream, so he is 2 Espers away from unlocking Final Kefka, excuse me, and 1 character away from unlocking the skip.
So Rak'Tulanesh, I think the Opera House also had an Esper at the end of it, so that puts him pretty close to getting to go mode if he can find that 6th character.
Nobody War taking a quick peek at World of Balance, Doma Castle. See who's at the siege.
Another fun quirk. Oh, he's got Gao.
Oh, my Gao.
That can be good or bad, depending on what his skills are there.
Not even going to take a peek.
Doesn't matter. And finding a senior behemoth sieging the castle. Sieger behemoth. I'll have to workshop that one.
I think it's supposed to be Super Behemoth, but I know that when I was a kid, and even to this day, it's always just Senior Behemoth or Senor Behemoth.
I just got that. It was supposed to be Super Behemoth. That actually makes sense. But yeah, Senior Behemoth is usually what I ended up calling him as well.
But this will unlock the skip for Nobody War, but again, he still needs 2 more Espers before he can challenge Final Kefka.
Blowing some minds in the chat. Everybody can have their own opinion about what Mr. Behemoth and I guess his dead friend here.
So in the vanilla game, you could kill him by using a Revivify, but like Turdsman was saying earlier, the no undead flag is turned off, so he is not invulnerable to instant death. If you have a source of that, you can kill him in one shot. Or you can just do it the old-fashioned way.
Everybody's weak to damage. Tyrith also grabbing that dragon near the end of Phoenix Cave. The Storm Dragon, possibly counterintuitively, is weak against lightning.
I know that always tripped me up. Rak'Tulanesh taking down Dune in the Opera House.
Having a much easier time of him this late in the seed compared to other runners that went to the Opera House a little earlier on.
And looks like Nobody War going to be happy with what he sees here.
Oh yes, he's going to get his 8th Esper and Zen, and then he just has to go find that last one, possibly go spend some more money in the auction house.
Not a bad way to do it, as long as he can raise the funds.
Squack McQuack making short work of Fun Baba at the end of the minecart. He's going to get his rewards, bring him up much closer to being able to go. Still no 9th character yet. He may decide to go peek another couple of checks to see if he can't get that skip. Or he may just go straight for some of the more obvious ones like Zen or the auction house. Oh, never mind. I was completely wrong. I forgot that Go-Go was at the end of this. That puts
Yes, indeed.
put Squack up to 9, so he has his skip available as well.
So Nobody War just a little bit ahead of Squack here as far as getting those characters are concerned, and he's going to pick up his Magicite here, so he is just one Esper away from Go Mode and the skip.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see this. Multiple people with the skip on stream will be interesting. We'll be able to compare how it goes for these two. Squack chewing through Atma Weapon. I barely even noticed he was fighting him, and then he's already down.
You can just see the power of that experience. If you look at Locke's HP levels, almost 5,000, that's very rare.
Lots and lots of offense, which will hopefully make him feel pretty good about going through the Kefka Tower. He'll have plenty of characters able to handle bosses on their own. Control Atma Delete. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that is pretty good. So Squack taking a dive off of Barren Falls here. Gonna find his Alexander Esper at the end of it, so that'll be pretty happy. I don't know if he has checked the Tizen Thief.
I have not noticed it yet. That would be a decent idea. I tend to wait once I hit 7 or 8 Espers and I have all the characters. That's usually when I like to go around and try to throw some money around to get that last little bit.
I do the same thing. So Rak'Tulanesh fighting his Scary Spaghetti. Gonna find his Cyan at the end of it. Looks like chat is saying that Squack has checked the Tizen Thief.
Rak'Tulanesh having some trouble with those tentacles. They keep grabbing characters out as they're about to attack.
Back checking Colts, and once again, not going to find what he is looking for, unfortunately.
It's a pretty sad mountain in this particular seed. Meanwhile, Nobody War finally making his way through number 128.
Rak'Tulanesh just finished up Ebbett's Rock.
That was quick.
That was quick. And Tyrith is in there right now, so Tyrith is going to pick up Cyan, and that is going to be Go Mode for him.
And Nobody War just picked up, I believe, his 9th Esper, which puts him at a very nice spot. He has the skip available, and he's got Final Kefka unlocked. Looks like he's just going to go for it. Ooh, Squack fighting Doomgaze. Celeste unfortunately had a level of multiple of 5.
Burton coming out doing max damage to that Doomgaze. Wow. That's the power of both Merton and juicing on that magic power Esper. Taking him down, no problem for Squack.
So Nobody War has gone into Kefka's Tower with the skip, and he is setting up his team now to try to go take out these, the 4 bosses that he's got right in front of him before he can get to the end. High Dawn at the Guardian slot.
The worst bands in existence, Hydon and the Hydonites.
They just don't practice enough, you know? Like, you go to their shows and it's just obvious that they just don't care.
No passion whatsoever.
None. It's disgusting.
So Squack in Jador looks like he is going to check the auction house for his last Esper.
Chat pointing out that Nobody War is ahead now, but his levels are lower. I did notice that when he was setting up his party, that Saban was only at level 32, which isn't that bad, but it's a little dicey going up against the final boss with less than 2,000 HP.
Yes, indeed. And Squack finding the Esper very quickly.
Oh, that's so good.
It looks like this one will cost him 20,000 gold, which he has. And it's hard for me to imagine that he won't just immediately dive bomb the tower right after this.
Absolutely, go straight there. Save as many seconds as you can.
So Nobody War in first, but Squack, because of all those dead checks, has a lot more levels on Nobody War, so...
He has 4 very beefy characters that could pretty easily handle all of this by themselves.
That being said, Nobody War is through Hydon.
Tyrith hit go mode while we were not paying attention. Congratulations to Tyrith, going to be making his way through the... right from the top of the tower, unfortunately. Does not have the skip available.
Meanwhile, Nobody War finding the cranes.
Frazier and Niles just hanging out at the statue slot.
And Tyrith opting to take a dragon at the World of Ruin Opera House. I'm not sure what his levels are, but...
Considering the dragons also give you an item for beating them, sometimes even one that they drop tends to be alright. This can be a really good way to make yourself feel a little bit better about going into the final battle. You know, you get a boatload of experience points, you get a ton of magic points, and you have a chance to get an Illumina, you have a chance to get an offering, or some other fancy item that might really help you break open one of your character's builds.
Yeah, I don't hate it at all. It's very rarely wrong. If you feel unsafe to fight a dragon, you'll get some levels, like you said. You'll get some good gear, and depending on what he finds here, it could be a really big difference maker.
Yeah, Rak'Tulanesh getting a dead check from his fight with Tritok, which is unfortunate, and I don't believe they have Umaro, so they did not continue past that, which is good, because they would have just found another dead check.
Yeah. Squack making quick work of Hydon there. Right on the heels of Nobody War, so very close race between the two of them.
Catching up very quickly.
Wrapping up his dragon. I didn't see the items that, or I didn't see the item that he dropped at the end of it.
I missed that too, unfortunately.
Gotta help us out, chat.
The third chair. And Nobody War losing a little bit of time to forgetting to pop a Moogle Charm on one of his characters, which usually, if you've got smoke bombs and warp stones, it's not a huge problem, but it can be a psychological damage situation.
That's something that I forget to do all the time, and it seems to be worse if I wind up unlocking a skip.
You're just so excited.
Irith now in Kefka's Tower.
And Rak'Tulanash not too far behind. He's going to buy his Esper from the auction house and probably head right in.
Yep, that's his go mode.
Still a pretty competitive race. Everybody they're not so far apart from each other that the gap can't be closed by an unfortunate boss or some other kind of random number nonsense that comes across.
Yeah, again, anything can happen. Kefka's Tears, they are unforgiving.
For example, Squack and Nobody War are pretty close to at the exact same spot right now, which does give Squack an advantage since he's much stronger. He has much stronger characters than Nobody War at this point.
Yes, he does. That Merton coming out. So, Squack officially ahead of Nobody War right now.
For a moment, we had 2 dead Stragos on the screen.
Good.
Hey, sometimes he's got, like, lore or throw or something.
Sometimes. Every time I see him, it's a bad time.
It's not. I'm not happy to see him ever, no.
Nobody War actually having kind of a rough time with Vargas. He can be pretty mean towards the end.
He does have a decent amount of HP, and there's not a whole lot of obvious tactics to use against him, and always, especially if he's using moves like Whirlwind.
Squack finding, it looks like Ultros 4.
Yes, looks like it. But with Ice 3 and Merton, this is really not going to be much of an obstacle for him.
No, not at all. It is maybe a little disappointing since you don't get anything for beating Ultros 4, since Chupon will sneeze everybody away at the end of the fight.
Meanwhile, Tyreth and Rak'Tulanash pretty close together as well, both dealing with the Tritok in Inferno spot. Mostly throwing money at the problem.
Money does tend to be the solution to a lot of problems. To Tritok especially, because he's got tremendous physical and magical defense to everything except for fire.
Exactly. If you don't have a fire move, then you're pretty much guaranteed to have to use either Atma Weapon, Valiant Knife, or GP Rain. Throw, I suppose, would also work. Toss some Ninja Stars at him.
Yep. So Tyreth and Rak'Tulanash both making it through there. And Squack just setting up his party right before he steps on that last switch.
Level 53 lock. Honestly, Memento Ring, that's a good idea. That's you don't want him running into like, I think there's several gravity and whirlwind-based attacks that you
tier
can run
2
into.
and tier 3 love to just throw them out like candy. And
Locke having gobs of HP. I believe he had 56k. No, sorry, not 56k, 5,600. He broke the damage barrier.
It might as well, right?
He hacked the game.
So Squack the first to see the tiers. Looks like he stepped on the switches at about 109. Chat pointing out that that's no lock. It's a whole safe.
That's good.
Oh, amazing. I love it.
Final Fantasy-based comedy.
So do you want to talk about Tier 1 a little bit?
Absolutely. Tier 1 is probably one of my personal favorites. I just love the look of this guy. It is mostly physical attacks. If you kill the face last, it will use Quake on you, so it's a very good idea to take him out first. Fortunately, he is weak against fire. The long arm, which is the one that you see closest to the screen, where you see the whole bicep and the elbow and all that good stuff, that one is weak to instant death. So as you can see, Odin just took it out. Another one, it will use Shockwave if it is the last one defeated, so it is a good idea to get rid of that guy first, too. Short Arm will it'll punch you, but in general, it's not really too much to worry about, so the best tactic would be to take care of Long Arm and Face first, and then smack up the remainder.
Yes, indeed. Looks like Squack is doing just that, focusing those Ice 2s on the head there.
Ooh, Tyreth running into Confuse in his fight with Hidden, so decides to reset to fix up, maybe put on some relics that'll protect him from that. Squack not seeming to have access to Fire 3. That must be an Esper that was not collected by him that somebody else must have found. I think Rak'Tulanash was throwing around some fireballs earlier, having to use Ice 2 on that face.
Yeah, the head is weak to fire, so Fire 3 there is obviously what you want to be doing, but not the end of the world.
Oh no, the level 2 spells aren't great, but they're still, at the end of the game, probably going to be doing, 2,000, I almost did it again, 2,000 damage per shot, which, like I said, is not what you really want to see for speed, but it'll get you through it.
You see Locke there with those 4 Atma weapon swings at a little over 5k per pop, so 20,000 damage right off the rip. That's the power of levels, that's the power of having a high vigor character.
It just took 1,500 damage, and he does not care.
Nobody War stepping on his switches at about 112.38.
I'm noticing chat talking about menuing, and that is a very interesting skill that you kind of collect while playing this game. Making your way through the menus, remembering what goes where, can be a really good way to squeeze a 5 to 10 minutes out of your run. A Squack running up against Tier 2. How would you like to explain to the good people how Tier 2 works?
Oh, sure thing. So you see Siren coming out there for Squack McQuack. And that's because the gentleman on the far left, the one that's blonde, his name is Magic, and Magic is vulnerable to mute. So he will do nothing for the rest of this fight up until the very end when you kill him. So he is basically a non-entity at this point. Beyond that, we have the Tiger head in the bottom right. His name is Tiger. Tiger does a lot of very powerful and very disruptive things to your party. So he can turn you into zombies. He casts Flare Star, which is basically, I think that's flat fire damage based on level to every one of your party members. All kinds of nasty stuff. He's vulnerable to ice, and he's normally the first one. Well, we'll talk about that in a second. You see the blue guy. Yeah. The blue guy right there is hit. He just hits you. And then there is a lady in red, kind of standing next to some machinery. Her name is Tools. Tools is vulnerable to instant death. So if you have an instant death, normally that's the first thing you do. And then you focus on Tiger.
That tends to be the strategy. Tiger can zombie, I believe. He has a move that can afflict one of your party members with zombie, which if you accidentally raise through a tier with one of your characters at zombie, then that character is gone.
Yes, indeed. He does all other nasty stuff too. I believe he's the one that casts North Cross. Oh, and Squack just...
He is soaring through this.
That's the quickest I've ever seen Tier 2 done. That's insane.
Blew him up. Moving on to the real one, though. I don't believe anybody found Golem or Fenrir, and I'm not sure if I don't think we saw Life 3 either, so this last one might start getting a little spicy.
So that's those espers are important because of a move that the guy lying down has called Calmness. He casts it when he dies. He casts it anywhere between 1 and 2 times, and it instantly kills a party member if it connects.
It is fortunately a physical attack, though, so if you have access to Golem will just bring his big old hand up and block it. If you have Fenrir, you can cast that, as you get closer to finishing it, throw that up, give everybody image. Life 3 works for obvious reasons. It brings you back to life when a character dies. And Squack taking a double Meteo, but
for that
he's
HP
fine.
Yep. Vanish will also work, so if he has Phantom or Vanish, anything that sets the clear status, but he does not, and opting to just jam right through it.
Yep. Oh, very nice. Got the blocks, and he attacked Locke even. That would have been devastating.
Yeah, that would have been very rough, but fortunately, Locke able to block it, and he only cast it once, so now Squack is on to final Kefka.
Let's beat up a clown.
Meanwhile, it looks like Tyrith and Rak'Tulanash working their way through the bosses at the goddess statues, fighting their Varguses.
I have been keeping an eye on them. They've been keeping pretty good pace with each other. Tyrith is a little bit ahead on the Vargus fight, but they're Rak'Tulanash not that far behind.
No, so it'll be very interesting to watch them come to a finish as well. Squack and Quack should have no problems finishing up final Kefka here, summoning Palador to avoid the Fallen One.
Very nice. And without a Mega Elixir, this is a very good strategy, especially since he has an Atma Weapon Lock swinging around. Putting everybody down to 1 HP is what Fallen One does, which can be, if you usually have some form of healing, but if you don't have an X Potion or a Mega Elixir, it can really slow you down.
Squack and Quack just breaking rods, breaking the ice shield there. Casts Ice 3 when used as an item.
And ignores defense, I believe, as well.
That's correct.
Nobody War making his way up through Tier 2. Looks like he's got a Frozen Kefka. Or not a Frozen Kefka, a Frozen Cyan. Oh my goodness, he just finished.
Yes, he did. That's
118! GG's to Squack McQuack.
Very well played. Excellent job by Squack McQuack on the finish there.
That is very good time, just in general, much less during such an important time as the end of the Ultros League. So that, depending on how the rest of the runners do it, is this I believe this is everybody left. So that easily puts Squack in the lead, I think.
I do believe that is correct. And remember, this was a 3-way tie for second between Rak'Tulanash, Tyrith, and Squack. And Squack finishing first there. Very commanding lead. So just a phenomenal time.
Looks like we see if we can't get him in for an interview. And there he is, Squack. Congratulations.
Oh boy.
Dude!
How do you feel about that run?
My nerves are absolutely racked right now.
You beat the crap out of you just sailed through Kefka's Tower.
I schmooved through Kefka, and I was not expecting Kefka to go that smoothly because I had no calmness protection. But the mere fact that he targeted Locke with calmness, I was like, the only person who has the best chance of naturally dodging calmness. Great, and he did. He came right through for me. I had Palador saved up. I saved Palador for Fallen One because I didn't want Atma Weapon to be affected. It wasn't. I just kept swinging with Locke, and I threw everything that I possibly could at him.
Well, It was phenomenal. It was great to see. Love to see the Palador coming out to avoid the fallen one. Always a good play.
I think the scariest thing for me was I was like, oh man, I'm at 8 characters fast. Maybe I can get that last one. And when I hit like 3 dead checks back to back, I'm like, oh man, I lose. I said out loud, I'm like, I'm not winning this. I don't think I'm hitting way too many dead checks.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that because I think I counted 4 that you did in a row. Like,
oh, maybe 4. Yeah, okay.
like how frustrating was that for you to deal with?
Really frustrating because I was just trying to start getting my Magicite. I figured a character would come along eventually. Thankfully, when I did Magitech Factory, that last character came through, and I also picked up 2 Magicite. So I felt like I was back on track after that dead streak. Oh man, I was so nervous that I was gonna like lose this out here, but
well,
wow,
you played that scene terrifically.
Energy of a runaway freight train.
Thank you so much. Oh my god.
Yeah, GG's.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks like he had pretty smooth sailing. Like, other than the dead checks, and even those couldn't stop you. Like, 118 with 4 dead checks is pretty amazing.
Yeah, could you imagine I PB'd in this in this region?
I mean, yeah, I can. That's an amazing time.
Yeah.
Could you I just avoid those dead checks. That'd have been awesome. Just not do the dead checks, and I'd probably get like sub 110.
Oh, the trick was to have 3 force shields, definitely. I think that was
That really helped in that really ending the last Magicite that I was able to get when I sold all my force shields to go to the auction house and finally get a Magicite. And that luck was there too. I was like, I have to try to do the auction house. If I don't go to the auction house, I don't think I just take another chance on a dead check or another character. I have to go to a place where I can try to at least go for a Magicite. And the fact that the first thing that dropped in the auction house is the Magicite, I was like, okay, let's just go. Let's just go as fast as we can. Don't save, just go.
Because at that point, you had a ton of levels. I mean, your lock ended the game, I believe, at level 56 with almost 6,000 HP. That's the beefiest lock I've ever seen.
He was a unit with a Paladin shield, so he wasn't even really taking damage. He was just, whenever they used like a Merton or anything, he would just gain health and start swinging. So I just had to help that calmness was that sleep was gonna go okay, and that girl would die. I didn't have any insta death. I had break, but I couldn't get rid of tools on tier 2. So I was like, I'm just gonna spam Merton. I have a gem box. I'm just gonna throw it on Realm, and she'll just spam tier 2. Will just spam Merton as fast as possible, and it somehow it all came together. I really don't know what else to say. I'm ecstatic. I cannot believe I pulled that off.
We have a message in the chat. We are directed to tell you that your wife was supported throughout your whole ordeal.
She really
believed in you.
She really was. She was sitting here watching me, and one of the things that she had said was, I was like, like I said when I said out loud that I was gonna lose, I'm gonna lose like 4 dead checks in a row. Like, what the heck? Like, I'm going way too slow. And she's like, just keep going.
Just play it through.
And I'm like, all right, like whatever. I'll keep going.
That was the right call.
It absolutely was.
Well, at least somebody believed in me. I had to believe in her that believed in me.
So I do want to point out that Nobody War entered the tower ahead of you. He also wound up getting the skip. But you zoomed past him, I believe at the Vargas fight.
You in general had about twice. Your character levels were almost 20 above what they had at that point. So I think that was the real key to this fight, is that you just had a much stronger stable.
It's all those. I like to thank all those dead checks that I ran through.
It's a way to get levels, yeah. If nothing else, right?
If I didn't have you, I wouldn't have made it, I guess.
I'd like to thank all the haters.
Exactly.
Well,
oh man! But thank you guys so much.
Once again, yeah, just a terrific time. Glad to see you push through your frustration.
Oh man, I'm shaking. I'm gonna go because I gotta calm down. But thank you guys for commentating. I hope it was entertaining to commentate as it was to play.
I learned
Absolutely.
Stuff.
Hey, that's what it's for.
And this was really good. This was just a great night. I'm riding high. So
Hey, go get a lottery ticket.
yeah, I guess so. Dang. All right, thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. And
Oh, thank
good luck
you.
to the rest of the runners, and thank you for the restream team and everybody who's been working hard to keep track of this whole mess. And hope you guys have a great rest of your night.
Thanks, Quack. Take care. Have a good night.
Thank you. I feel great.
Yeah, Squack. Proving once again just how great of a racer he is. Go give him a follow, by the way. As a matter of fact, give all of our runners a follow if you haven't. They're all playing their hearts out, all doing great work here.
Nobody War having some trouble with Tier 3. Losing Cyan and Celeste going up to the Kefka fight. Tyrith right on his heels at Tier 2.
Yeah, I noticed that Nobody War was having some struggles with Tier 2 as well, and once again, that just goes to show you the difference that a few extra levels can make.
Yeah, the tower tends to be a pretty heavy equalizer. If you get there early, it might not matter as much if you don't actually have enough power to really just skate through anything other than, a Magimaster or like what's another one? Inferno can be kind of rough if you run into him with the wrong setup.
Inferno is very rough. He Delta hits me a lot. It's a sad time. So Nobody War not out of the equation yet.
Going to be having the true spirit of this fight, but just press through it. See what you got.
And Raktulanash stepping on his switches, and he will start his tiers here momentarily.
Nobody War still has a Rage Sabin to do some damage to Kefka, so if he can manage to keep all of his guys up and running, then he should be able to pull this off.
Meteor does a lot of damage. It is a little bit lower on the accuracy scale.
Ooh.
Oh, looks like he had the True Knight on. I'm just taking a Havoc Wing to the face there. Ugh.
Blitz Shadow here to just keep plinking away with Aura Bolt. Any damage that's 4 digits is good damage in this. And 998 is close enough.
Oh, a Desperation Detective from Strago.
Sadly, his instant death one.
Irith making it through his Tier 3. Or here's his Tier 2, excuse me, and on his way to Tier 3.
Oh, Nobody War taking a Trine.
Trine sets both blind and mute on your party. So if you have any casters, they gotta waste a turn using an echo screen. So, and it's worth noting, by the way, that the blind status effect has been fixed. It used to be in the vanilla game that everything was controlled by the evade stat, and because of a bug in the coding, the goggles that you see, they literally did nothing.
It's another. There's so many Simpsons references in this game.
But that is fixed, so if you're a physical damage dealer and you don't have something like the Offering, for example, your attacks will miss most of the time.
Nobody War hanging on and keeping the damage coming.
Second round of Fallen one there for Nobody War. Irith taking a train of his own.
Working his way through tier 3 there. Celeste took a condemned at some point. Ooh, lost Go-Go, but that probably not the worst. Probably not the worst outcome of that. If you had to lose one of those 4.
No, not at all. Looks like Locke is his primary damage dealer as well, so keeping him into Final Kefka is pretty great to see. So it's possible that Tyrith can just sneak up behind Nobody War and steal second place right out from underneath him.
It's possible. He's heading up to the big yellow place in the sky. And Rak'Tulanash making his way through tier 1 with a nearly perfectly healthy party.
Yeah, good job by Rak there. We'll see how he does on his tier 2.
That True Knight accessory that keeps making Sabin jump in front of people probably was put on to facilitate an Atma weapon strat. Would be my guess. No, I'm thinking of Valiant Knife. Never mind.
Yeah.
I got that very backwards.
Nobody War in a pretty scary situation right now. He only has 4 more Phoenix Downs. I'm not sure what healing he has. Shadow knows Blitz, so he may have Mantra available, but that won't heal Shadow.
He would have to use an X potion or something along those lines on Shadow first. And here comes the Goner.
The only other one that he might have is Lagomorph, and Lagomorph is not really what you want to see.
And not really a reliable source of healing.
There goes Goner.
Probably going to be a wipe for Nobody War, unfortunately.
At the same time, we have a Goner coming out for Tyrith as well.
Gonna mess his party up a little bit, but he should be able to recover from it.
Yeah, and Nobody War does in fact wipe there. That's unfortunate. You don't like to see those.
Especially right at the end there. That's and just got bad luck with the calmness and really unfortunate. Tyrith, however.
Tyrith with the cracked POW there at 133.45. Great job.
Sneaking right past Rak'Tulanash and taking the number 2 slot.
And Nobody War opting for the forfeit there, unfortunately.
I genuinely do not blame him. I probably would have done the same thing.
Yep.
Especially right at Final Kefka.
Yeah, I was not lying when I said that the tiers can be rough.
Oh, maybe not. He go and jump right back on that switch. GG's to Tyrith, however. Getting through at 133.45.
Yes, indeed.
See if we can't get them in here for a quick interview. Using those ice threes, got a lot of high damage magic in Raktua Nash's section, smacking that tiger up and taking care of the rest of tier 2 here.
It looks like he's killing tools the hard way. That's like a instant death of some type.
I believe the only source of instant death that they had were the Odin and Raiden Espers, so having both of them on somebody when you go in can be kind of tough. We got Tyrith here.
Hey there, Tyrith. Congratulations on your second place win.
Oh, looks like Tyrith is muted.
Yeah. I was never gonna be 118 here. I'm just not as good as Squack is, to be honest. 118 is a really good time. I PB'd today in a practice run at 121, and that was in a seed that was much easier than this one. And so congrats to him. That was a great run. There's no disputing that. At this level, he definitely deserved it. He's been probably the best player in Tonic A besides Jones, and Jones is amazing, obviously, but Squack deserves this. He's consistently been the second best just week to week throughout the season.
And not to sell yourself short, I think that all of the runners in Tonic A are doing a phenomenal job.
So something that I would like to ask, not a lot of calmness protection in this particular seed. So what were you feeling like getting up to the end of tier 3 there? Oh, looks like we're having some technical difficulties.
Meanwhile, Raktua Nash still chewing through his tier 3.
Just about to lose a Celeste to Condemned, but thankfully not. Thankfully, you can bring her back before moving on to the next section.
Life 2 is a good way to do it.
It's one of the best healing spells in the game.
Absolutely. Tyrith, did we get you back?
Looks like he's having some audio trouble.
Yeah. Well, I can hear everything else, but this was a seed where we really could go pretty quick with the Atma and then the constant offerings. There was just a serious core of offense that really made it where we could just go.
It was a very
my plan in tier 3 was a Mirage Vest and hope for the best, to be honest. I really only was using 2 characters. Sellers and Locke were the only 2 that were doing anything. If Go-Go dies to calmness, like what happened with me, who cares? If Sabin dies to calmness, who cares? If it hits Locke, he probably dodges it. If it hits Celas, that's sad, but I was pretty confident that with just Locke, I could get through it eventually, and so it just kind of was what it was at that point. And there's enough redundant offense in that seed, at least, where I was pretty sure I was going to get through unless I got double calmness and both hit, and that's just the way it goes sometimes.
Yeah, very fortunate that it was just Go-Go that got targeted.
Yeah, I mean, that was the best case scenario, right? Other than it targeting lock and it missing.
Exactly.
Yeah, so far not seeming like it's causing too many headaches.
I was just at the point where...
Sorry, go ahead.
I was at the point at that stage of the run where I knew if I was gonna have any chance, I just had to just go, right? Like, we're not seeing what the other guys are doing. Obviously, for Squack to do it 118, that is what it is. But there was a chance that this was pretty close, and there wasn't a lot of room left at the end to mess around. And so, and I made some mistakes in KT in particular. I reset out a hide-in, and I don't know if that was right or not. In my head, when I did it, I thought I was on the second fight, not the first, so I was just going to reset back to the first save point. That cost myself like 2 minutes. But at that stage, especially with tears, it just is what it is.
Yeah, I think you did a pretty good job of making the best of some bad situations, especially like in that what you just mentioned, Locke getting hit with Confuse, especially considering he's your physical damage guy. That could bite you in the butt pretty quick, or it might take a while to bite you in the butt. I don't think that reset was too unfounded of an idea.
I don't either. I thought it was totally reasonable.
The most annoying thing in this seed, and I don't know if you guys saw this, but I went to returners off the bat, and the guy in the upper room blocked me for like 30 seconds. I've never seen it in 50 seeds, and he just stood in the middle. I couldn't get by him. I was like, if I lost by 20 seconds, that guy, I was going to be so unhappy.
You know exactly who did it.
Yeah, he's just very vigilant about guarding the returner's treasures,
NPCs are truly the last boss of the game.
So one thing to note
I'll be curious to see, flipping back, kind of seeing what Rack did. And, for me, I found a lot of offense early between finding the Merton Esper, the Magic +2 Esper. It seemed pretty well set up pretty quickly.
Yeah, you and Rack were actually neck and neck through most of Kefka's Tower. I didn't quite notice when the split ended up happening. Rack is currently fighting Final Kefka right now. Probably won't be too terribly long once he gets logged back up. So I think that's kind of interesting. Despite your minor setbacks in the tower, that is where you ended up pulling into second.
Yeah, Nobody War was actually ahead of you for the longest time, and then you wound up overtaking him at Final Kefka.
Yeah, this felt like for me, with the stuff I had, it felt like a pretty easy Final Kefka. I had X-Zone, I had Siren. It just came down to calmness. Calmness was the one issue, but,
And ended up turning out pretty well for you. The GG's on the second place.
Thank you guys. Thanks so much for hosting the race.
Absolutely. Thank you for running.
Thanks for running, and have a good evening.
So Rack 2 and Ash making his way to the finish line here.
Yeah, like you said, shouldn't have too much difficulty beating down Final Kefka.
Not as much healing as the other runners. Looks like he's only got Cure 2 and 3. But still keeping everybody topped off, making sure that he's got enough damage going out. Cyan kind of jumped out of the way of this train, which is good.
And he is seeing a fair bit of trains, so... Looks like Locke is in the back row there, so he is doing half the damage with that Atma weapon.
I can see doing that in the beginning if you don't want him getting his butt whipped by Tier 1, but yeah, unfortunately the Atma weapon is not long range, unlike the Illumina.
Meanwhile, nobody won his refight, made it up to Tier 3.
Having a much nicer time of it this time around. I believe I saw in the chat a while ago that Nobody War did take the forfeit, so this is to prove a point, and it's a good point that he should prove.
100% agreed. I know that it's super frustrating to wipe the final Kefka, so to be able to pick yourself up and try again, it takes a lot of willpower, so much respect to him.
I know there are times when it's just the last thing that I want to look at after running into something that rough. Raktulanash having a little bit of trouble getting that last bit of damage out on him. Ooh, Locke eating a hyperdrive.
Hey, a little bit dicey for Raktulanash here. Should be able to avoid this Goner with a jump.
Ticking sound that ooh comes down oh no, train, a counterattack maybe.
Goner already happened, so he did avoid that.
I guess it's just going to be shaking for the rest of the fight then. I apologize, there's some little oh no, double Havoc Wing.
That's so rough.
Man, Kefka just being a jerk.
A rude boy tonight for sure. Yeah, normally in that situation, you want to see him cast something like Revenger, which just removes positive statuses from your party.
Revenger, or even another train, or I mean,
yeah.
I imagine Raktulanash would have been happy with just one Havoc Wing.
Absolutely, but to get the back-to-back Havoc Wings, yeah, it's
lots of random numbers being extremely rude to everybody in this seed.
And there he is now. Hey there, Raktulanash.
Hello, hello.
Very sorry to see that the double Havoc Wing at the end there. That's extremely rough.
Yeah, just a little bit. I was really hoping to weather that Goner, get Locke up, and just at least finish the race. But as it stands, I have zero wish to try that fight again.
You took a lot of trains there, and I know how much everybody loves trains.
Yeah. Like if I had Blitz, it hadn't been quite so bad. I could have just cleansed off that stuff readily, but it was. I really want to see what Squack did to get past all that so quickly.
The trick for Squack was he ended up with a ton of levels by the time he made it into Kefka's Tower because he ran into like 4 dead checks all in a row.
Oof.
Yeah, a bunch of dead checks, and he wound up finding an experience egg pretty early.
Ooh, where was that one hit?
Shop somewhere.
It was in Thamasa. I can't remember if it was World of Bounce or World of Ruin.
It would have been
World of Ruin.
Yeah. I think he must have found it after the burning house, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, very nasty check with random numbers, as I was just talking about with Squack running into a bunch of dead checks in a row. Nobody War had a similar issue heading up to Tier 4, lost a bunch of characters, and then you just taking just like the perfect Havoc Wing combo.
Yeah.
So how did you feel about the seed, I guess, in general? Because from our perspective, it seemed really nasty. Did you feel that going through?
I mean, I felt in the beginning like the first couple of battles I went to were kind of annoying. Then it was mostly smooth sailing until I was trying to get like the last character and the last Esper, and that's when things really started turning on me. Then going up into Kefka's Tower, running into Haydn for the first... that was the Guardian fight. For the Guardian fight and having to redo the switches again really hits your mental right there. And then obviously you saw how the rest of Kefka went there towards the end. For the most part, the seeds felt like it was fine. It just had those sneaky things in there, the dead checks when you were close to done, the bad timing of which bosses were where, that kind of stuff.
I really like the route that you took, especially early on, going into the Phoenix Cave and getting that dragon. What was your thought process behind doing that?
I figured that since most people would probably have done Phoenix Cave early, I wasn't going to miss out on anything that they were getting, and I could do it just a touch later so I could get that bonus experience and maybe not have to worry about the experience part later. Normally I do the Dirt Dragon check just before going into Kefka's Tower, but I felt I had enough levels before doing it because I hit the one in the Phoenix Cave.
Yeah, and then I think the only other thing that I really noticed was you cracked a Thunder Shield there on Tier 3.
I cracked it just a little bit early too.
Yeah.
That was not the intent, but I did... I was feeling the pressure. I did a miscount in there, cracked it a touch early, and paid the price for it.
Yeah, that always stinks.
I think if the Calmness hadn't hit Celeste, if it had hit anybody except for Celeste, I could have handled Tier 4 at that point.
Yeah, the numbers just didn't want to give anybody any leeway whatsoever. You and Tyrith were actually neck and neck throughout most of the tower. It was actually pretty interesting. I apologize. I completely forgot my question that I was going to ask based on that. My notes did not quite line up.
I'm going to take a gander that Tyrith got through the hidden fight without the wipe right there.
No, I did reset out of it, actually.
Oh, ouch.
Which I was feeling pretty bad about at the time. But Locke got confused. I had Locke in that fight with Quad Atma, and he got confused. I'm like, well, I'm dead. But my tiers were clean. That was the main thing. And for me, like, the Calmness hit my 4th character, and so
nice.
That's, one of the big separators there, and that's just luck, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very luck-heavy seed.
Well, it happens on occasion. There's always next season to try to go a little further. GG to Tier, Atlanta Squack, and everybody else in the division.
Yeah, I just want to say that all of you, tonight at least, and probably throughout the rest of the season too. I don't know, I'm new, but y'all have all played like very, very well. So no one has a reason to feel bad about their seed if indeed they're feeling that way. I thought it was terrific, and I'm sure that the rest of our chat feels the same way.
Yeah, this was a terrific show.
I'm glad to hear that.
So GG's to all of our runners. We still have Nobody War fighting the good fight up there.
Yeah, got that perseverance.
You love to see it.
Kefka deserves to die, I think. He's mean.
Holmes Fire 3 is doing a pretty decent chunk of damage.
Yeah, still had a very unfortunate calmness going into this. Just no matter what, this seed is just not letting anybody have any leeway. Yeah, that is the second time we've seen Strago's Desperation attack in this race.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, a little disappointed that it didn't get to hit Kefka there.
It's interesting because Nobody War now has 4 characters in this fight that I had none of.
There was a lot of variation, especially early on. Everybody, 3 of you went to South Figaro to loot that first, but Ractulinash, I think you were the one that went straight to the Phoenix Cave. Or no, it wasn't the Phoenix Cave.
It was I think a World of Ruin Narsh. I think was the
right.
first start.
Yep.
Stop. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's something to talk about. That's a check that I really like. If you start with Locke to go and just look at that shield right away, was that your thinking going there first?
Yep, going in, like, if I have Locke, I start World of Ruin Narsh, period. That's how it goes. I have to know if that shield is going to be worth my time and effort, and at 5 battles, well, it carried me through a lot of this stuff, and then between that and the early Minerva that I was able to throw on Celeste, I had 2 people consistently set for elemental protection.
Were you immediately thinking about Merton strats at that point, or was it like not really?
Not really. Like, Merton strats don't often occur to me, which is probably a fault that I need to fix. I did find Merton, and I think I only ever at any point had the ability to protect 3 people, I want to say. And considering I had 2 people that weren't doing much, maybe I should have gone with Merton strats and would have gotten me through a bit faster.
Yeah, my plan the whole time was until I got hit with 3 offerings. If I didn't find an offering, my plan was just to essentially treat it as a 3-character seed, and the 4th one would just get continually melted, and that's how it was going to be.
Yeah, that was probably the way I should have gone with it. Funnily enough, I didn't find that the offering Atma weapon ended up working as well. I had it on Locke, who just didn't quite have the levels for it, and his Ice 3 was doing better. But I was really kicking myself when I was doing the 3rd part of Magitech Factory, and the first battle was Katana Soul, and I ran away. And as I'm running away, I remembered that I had the Noise Blaster available on Strago. I was kicking myself up until the point where I found it, found the offering later. Sadly, it looks like nobody wiped there on Final Kefka as well.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. Had a lot of the same problems. So anything else that you guys want to talk about this seed?
I mean, I just go back to 118 out of this seed. It had a lot of offense. It wasn't perfect from what I saw, and I can't imagine he saw too much else that I didn't. Just to finish that quickly with 9 characters, the checks he did that I didn't were probably the ones getting him to skip. That's an impressive time out of this seed. There's not a lot of room for. I made a bunch of random dinky errors throughout, and he didn't do that to get to that. That's a good number.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching the bot on that. The last thing I would like to throw in is, I might be the first person to say this, but I would like for the next ladder set, the next season, to have no free progression, please, so we can get rid of some of these dead checks. Or at least know where they're going to be.
Well,
yeah,
go ahead.
Sorry. You go ahead.
No, I was just going to say thanks again to you both for the run. It was very entertaining, and we appreciate you spending your time here with us.
Thank you.
Fun evening. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank all of our runners, Nobody War, Squack McQuack, Tyrith, and Ractulinash for being restreamed. Go ahead and give them a follow. And I'd like to thank the tracking team of the Schwantz 27 and Zelfer 1, making sure that everybody has the good information as we went through this.
Absolutely. Thanks to all of our runners. Thanks to our trackers. And thanks to my co-commentator, Turdsman. Just terrific fellow. Give him a follow as well.
And same for Gar. I've watched plenty of his streams. He's a lot of fun. He sings sometimes.
I sing all the time. It's really bad, too.
And the biggest thanks to SpeedGaming for hosting this. It's so much fun to be able to do some of these and to collect different people that haven't seen this game be run. It's a huge pleasure.
Absolutely. I always have such a blast doing these. And if any of our viewers want to get in on the action, please join our Discord. We have a community full of people that would love to help you get started playing this game. Yeah, and you can roll your own seeds at ff6wc.com. It also contains a link to the Discord as well as a wiki, which has all kinds of guides which will help you get started.
And with that, I think we're going to be signing off. So thank you all for watching. Have a lovely evening.
Take care, everyone.